wonder why our culture's depressed when depressed people get all the love and attention. Isn't that interesting? It's hard to figure this one out, isn't it? So what I want you to do is you got to make a choice. You can either bow your head and fit in, because if you stand out, then there are going to be a few people that are going to take shots at you, and that comes with the territory. So you either get to live with your head bowed or live with your head high and take a few hits and enjoy your life like most people never will. But you got to choose, because you can't live in between. There is no in between. You either step up or you step down. So right now, decide which one you want, and the easiest way to decide is first do a little celebration and see how it feels to cut loose, and then decide, no, I want to stay back here, or decide to stay there. How many want to go for it? Say aye. So rule number 1, feet must come off the ground. Rule number 2, use your hands. Rule number 3, use your... Make some noise like crazy. How many of you in this room like to sing when no one's around? You're in your car, you're rocking, you get the stoplight, you're still singing and rocking, you look over, someone is staring at you in the next car, you quickly pick up the cellular phone like you've been talking to somebody. The reason you like to sing is because in order to sing, you have to move different muscles in your body, and therefore you get to feel them. The more you want to feel, the more you got to move. Your voice, your body, your face, your gestures, everything. And we're going to only do this for 15 seconds of total celebration. We shake the room because we don't want to make you too happy too quick. This may screw things up. Are you ready? We'll count it down, 1, 2, 3 with clapping, and then we'll celebrate. Here we go. By the way, keep an eye on the person next to you. Make sure they're not, woo. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Come on over here. Come on over here. Come on over here. Come on. Come on, I can't hear you over here. Come on over here. Whoa. Very nice. Give yourselves a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Give a high five from the person next to you and grab a seat feeling good. Grab a seat. If you feel better than before, make a fist and say yes. There are 3 reasons why anybody feels anything. I'm going to show them to you in a moment. The only reason you feel good is 3 reasons. The only reason you feel bad are 3 reasons. They're the way you use 3 different patterns in your mind and body. If you change them, you'll change the way you feel instantaneously. I don't care how bad you felt before, how good you felt, you can change the way you feel if you change these 3 things. And they're totally within your control, and they don't require drugs or therapy. They just require you making new choices. But I'll tell you this, everybody has a fear they're not enough and they won't be loved, and here's why. In the beginning, when you're a baby, what do you got to do to be loved? Cry? What else? Anything you do, you'll be loved. You poop, they go, oh, poo-poo, yellow poo-poo, oh, I still love you, baby, poo-poo. Isn't that true? You vomit all over somebody, oh, baby, it's okay, baby, love you, baby, yeah, love you, baby. Doesn't matter what you do. You crap, you vomit, you fart. Try that stuff when you're 50 and see if it works real well. See if you still get that love you were thinking about. Right? You're fat when you're a baby and you're loved. Try that later on, see if it works. Look at those big chubby cheeks. Last time you heard somebody say that about a 35-year-old. Look at those big chubby cheeks. But wasn't it cute then? Because everything was cute then, because oxytocin was flowing, baby. Right now, there is a day when that oxytocin stops flowing and all hell breaks loose. That's a day when all of a sudden you did the same little poo-poo, but you got in trouble. That was a day when maybe you went out and other kids didn't have the same oxytocin flowing for you like your mother did or your father did, and all of a sudden you found out you weren't made of gold. All of a sudden you got pain instead of love, and it is a massively disrupting event. Now, if you go to a therapist and lie on your back long enough and freely associate, you can find many moments when you felt unloved, and you can tie that moment as the reason why you have such low self-esteem that you do these terrible things and can't feel terribly great. Or you could say, I'm a human. And everybody's got the fear because we all had a moment when we lost that total unconditional love, or felt we did. And we've had lots of moments since then. How many have had people treat you in a less than unconditionally loving way at some stage of your life? Could I see a show of hands here? How many have this happen more than once in your lifetime? Say, I. How many think this may occur again in the future? Say, I. So we all have that sense of loss, and with that sense of loss comes fear. The fear that we're not enough. And so we all figure ways to get that love back. Some people do it by being an overachiever, so they get love that way. Some people do it by being a people pleaser. What would you like? I'd love to do it. What would it be? Right? And so sure enough, people then respond to that. They get love for that. And that's their tool. That's their way of doing it. Some people do it by saying, screw you to the world. I don't need your love. I'm significant by myself. I'm enough. You're not going to mess with me. Really inside, they're freaking out. But they have this surface thing that they do to push everybody away, so they give no one the power to make them feel insignificant. We all have a fear we're insignificant and unloved, or will be. So that's all that's happening for you. It's called being a human. It just shows up in a context because you picked a profession where on a regular basis you need to make requests of people, and lots of times they're going to say no, and their no becomes for him rejection, failure. Worthless is the word he would never say that he really felt. He doesn't want to say worthless because that scares the hell out of him. So he says, not successful. Failure, not successful. You'll never get the worthless because that's a scary word to say. No one wants to say they feel worthless, but that's what everybody's afraid of feeling. Now, search your own heart, your own experience, and see if that's true. And it's probably not true for you, but how many have seen other people have a fear of being worthless or not being loved or not successful? Other people. How many have seen that? Of course, those other people have those feelings. So maybe you do too at times. Now, I know you don't feel that way when you're competent and you're in charge and you're in control and everything's going your way. That's your plan, that you do all those things. Some people work all the time so they can feel that because they have control. They're with their kids and they feel incompetent, so they go back and work more because they don't know how to deal with this thing. The kid wants to watch the Disney show for the 5,000th time. You know, they don't know how to deal with that. So human beings have these common fears. Now, what do? Well, here's the truth. The fear will never leave you completely. That's the truth. So when you know something's true, it's best to hug the monster instead of fear the monster. Now, the lady in my life is a really special lady, and she said, well, years ago she used to think this monster was going to get her, so she started hugging the monster. It's like the monster disappeared. It's kind of like aligning with it instead of fighting it. The more you try to fight what's in your gut and in your nature, then you're in a fight with yourself. Hug the monster means, yeah, I might feel that way. Of course, all human beings feel that way at times. And you know what? It's not really true. I am enough. I don't have to have everybody like me for me to be a good person. I don't have to have everybody love me. I'd love to have everybody love me, but it ain't going to happen. Didn't work for Jesus, probably not going to happen for me. Okay, if he couldn't pull it off, I don't think there's much hope for me pulling off everybody loving me, right? So unless you want to practice putting holes in your hands, this is probably a good thing for you to realize to align with instead of to fight, right? Because there's probably good evidence that you're not going to succeed at everybody loving you all the time. Now, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy where it's there. So learning how to overcome the fear is most important because here's what most of us do. And you'll learn this. I'm telling you this now to give you the big picture. Then the seminar is going to be about doing. And when we do these things this weekend, what I'm telling you now will show up. And I'm telling you it now so you have a way to recognize it. Do you follow me on this? I don't want to sit here and lecture to you. Tonight I got to dump kind of the load on you a little bit so your mind, when things happen, will go, oh, that's what he was talking about. That's it. Whoa, it's true. Okay, now that it's true, here's what I do. Easy. You know how to deal with it. So when it comes to these two fears, these primary fears, they're not going to go away. So what we've got to be able to do instead is we've got to be able to say, okay, when that fear shows up, how do I get rid of the illusion that I'm not enough or I'm not loved? Well, number one, you can love yourself. Right? Can you love yourself? Yes or no? Most people say, but I don't know how to love myself. Well, how do you love a stranger? If you met somebody and you wanted to know, I love you, and you wanted to experience that you love them, what would you do? Someone tell me, what would you do to try and make somebody know you love them? You tell them you love them. How many of you tell yourself, I love you? I love you, Tony. We live in a culture where, what's the matter with you? That's egotistical, that's crazy. No, in the Bible it says, love thy neighbor like thy... Interesting. That implies that you love yourself first. And we all know intellectually, whatever you believe religiously doesn't matter, whether you believe in the Bible or anything else, we all know that if you don't love yourself, you got nothing to give anybody else. You can't give somebody what you don't have. So you tell them, how else would you let somebody know you love them? What else would you do? Take them sailing. Okay, that would probably work for you too then, wouldn't it? You'd spend time with them, wouldn't you? Most of us spend the least amount of time with ourselves than anybody today, in terms of real quality time. What else would you do? Do things to themselves. Kiss yourself. Right? And in our culture, it's weird, but you know what's interesting? We do all these things for other people. Do something for them. Offer things, create things. We don't do that for ourselves. You don't love yourself because you don't believe you love yourself because you don't do the things that you do for other people that you love. You do the same things that you do for other people, or even similar things, you'll feel similar feelings. It's not that difficult to reassure yourself, but as long as you have to count on everybody else responding a certain way, you got to live in fear. And that's the piece that we want to avoid as far as things are concerned. Now, he's telling me that he has a human fear, and what he's got to do is get around it. The way he gets around it is he builds himself up, and he builds himself up by changing what things mean. As long as you say no to me, it means I have failed and I'm rejected. I'm going to have a hard time putting myself out there because that's putting out my deepest fear on earth. But if I change what your no means to me, which do we have that power, yes or no? Then if it means to me you just said, no, it's not the right time for you, or I didn't present this effectively enough today, whatever I make up something else, then with a different meaning, it feels totally different. You see, whatever we feel for only 3 reasons. 3 reasons. You might want to jot them down. I call them the triad. Whatever you feel it for 3 reasons. There are 3 patterns within your body. Whatever you're doing with these 3 patterns right now determines what you're feeling right now as you sit in this chair. The first pattern is a pattern of physiology. Physiology. Physiology is a fancy word for how you use your physical body. Now, if you're happy, you're using your body one way. If you're depressed, you're using it another. There is a specific physiology to every emotion you're going to feel, and you're going to see it this weekend. Second thing that determines how you feel in a moment is the pattern of language that you use. Do the words we select change the way we feel, yes or no? If I come along to you right now, and I look to you and I say, John, you're mistaken. How does it feel if someone says you're mistaken? What if I said, John, you're wrong? Does that change a little bit for some of you? What if I said, John, you're lying? Now, just by changing one word, can we change the way it feels to you in your biochemistry, yes or no? Yes. Now, the words you choose or select when you communicate to other people have a biochemical effect, but the words you choose to say to yourself have an even more powerful effect. Now, I'm not talking about positive self-talk where you go, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and by golly, people like me. No, I'm not talking about one of those Saturday Night Live specials, no. I'm talking about the significant words that you consistently use in your vocabulary that condition the way you feel on a daily basis. How many of you have ever listened to a speaker, even maybe somebody historic, maybe even a Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy or someone who the way they spoke, the words they spoke, impacted you emotionally? How many have had this experience in your life? Say, I. The speaker that affects you the most is you. And most of us have no clue of the language patterns we're using. It's not just positive self-talk. It's the actual words. Some words have a deeper meaning than others. The word failure for this man may not have the same impact as the word failure does for you, but for him, that means worthless. You follow that? That's a word that will ignite him and make his nervous system so tight that he can't say anything or can't put himself out there, or sets a goal and says, I'm going to do it, and takes 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back. And he can't figure out why, because he's got that word in his vocabulary. And anytime that word shows up, his body goes to a certain state. When his body goes there, those words show up. You're going to see they're tied together. So there are words, I call it transformational vocabulary, TV for short. I say watch your TV, watch the vocabulary you use, because certain words are going to ignite different emotions in you than others. And they're different for everybody. You got to find out which words trigger you. We have certain phrases that we say again and again and again that hypnotize us. I call them incantations. They're patterns of language. An incantation is like not a word, but a sentence you say again and again and again. And as you say it with such certainty, you begin to believe it, and it's true for you. How many of you have ever had the experience, for example, of, let's say someone says to you when you're a kid or as an adult, they say, could you go get me the salt? And you say, I don't know where the salt is. Because you don't know at that moment. Or you don't want to get up. And they say, get me the salt. It's in the kitchen. You go, but I don't know where the salt is. They say, give me the salt. I don't know where the salt is. You give me the salt. Fine. I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the damn salt is. You open the cupboard, you look around, you really do look. I can't find the salt. They say it's on the second shelf. I don't know where the salt is. I don't know where the salt is. It's not here. The person walks right in front of you, reaches right in front of your face, and they go, what is this? How many have ever had an experience like this? Say, I. Now, did your eyes see the salt? Yes or no? Yes, your eyes saw it, but your brain did not let you perceive it because it didn't want to turn you into a liar to yourself. When you say, I can't find it, the brain goes, okay, we're not going to turn you into an idiot, so you can't find it. Do you follow me on this? You hypnotize yourself. People say this to me all the time, I don't know what it is, I just can't get this, I just can't get this, I just can't change this, I can't change this. Why do you think I can't change it? Well, maybe because you just said that damn phrase 22 times in a row with total intensity. In psychology, we call this a scotoma, a blind spot, where literally you are blinded to what's right in front of you because of your incantations. Most psychologists don't know where it comes from. It comes from incantations, language patterns that you say again and again until you believe it. Now, by the way, could you say positive incantations that would put you in a positive state? Yes or no? Now, the difference between an incantation and an affirmation is this. You can affirm, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. But you won't feel happy because that's an affirmation. Affirmation without discipline is the beginning of delusion. Affirmation without physiology will never do anything. So if you say, I'm happy, what makes it an incantation, say, I'm so happy. If you put your body there, your voice and your body must be absolutely congruent. You must speak aloud, and you must engage your body. So it's physiology and language. You guys follow the difference here? Not just words. You can say something 5,000 times in your head, but if you aren't congruent, meaning your body doesn't communicate with intensity the same message as the words, it will not convince your nervous system. That's why affirmations are worthless unless somehow your affirmation engaged your body so intensely that it really became an incantation. Hey, have you ever made the fatal mistake of going to Disneyland and getting on a ride called It's a Small World After All? How many have made this fatal mistake? Say aye. What's in your head for the rest of the year? That damn song in 22 languages, right? That's an incantation because it's got so much energy to it. Now, the third thing that determines how we feel is the pattern of focus/belief, because they attach to each other. Focus/belief. Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'll give you an example. How many of you have a memory in your life of some experience that's so painful that if you were to focus in on enough right now, you could feel it all over again and feel like hell all over again? How many got something like that? Say aye. How many of you have more than one? How many got a whole menu of shit you could pull from back there? Say aye. Some people say, why go to my past? My present is shitty enough. Other people are not happy with that. They make up stuff that hasn't happened that may never happen and feel bad about it in advance. Real smart. But here's what's true. Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. Because focus equals reality to the individual. Focus equals reality to the individual, even though it's not reality in actuality. I'll say that again. Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. Whether it's true or not doesn't matter, because it's going to be true to you. Whatever you focus on will be true to you. Focus equals reality to the individual, even though it's not reality in actuality. Whatever you focus on, have you ever had this happen? You thought somebody did something horrible to really screw you over, and you got so angry at them, and later on you found out you were dead wrong, and they didn't do anything? How many of you had this happen? Say aye. But when you focused on it, it made you mad, didn't it? And maybe even behaved in a way that wasn't very elegant. It's all because what you focus on, you feel. So remember, just because you see it, just because you believe it, doesn't mean it's true. It just means you're focusing on it. Because whatever we focus on, as soon as we focus on it, we tend to attach a belief to what we focus on. We tend to attach a meaning. So he focuses on the person said no. This person said no to me, and the meaning for him, the belief is, that means they've rejected me. The most successful people in sales, by the way, are people that don't see any no as rejection. They just see it as they don't have enough information, or it's not the right time, or I need a new approach. And so they don't have any personal hurt. It doesn't bring up their primary fear, even though they're experiencing the same thing called no. Because the meaning for them is not I'm worthless, right, or I'm not enough, or I won't be loved. The meaning for them is, oh, we're just not there yet, or this isn't the right time. That little shift in language and meaning and physiology completely changes the experience. How many follow this? Say I.